One of the exciting things about creating Aliens Colonial Marines is that it's not based on a movie, it's a sequel to a movie, a series of movies. We had Ridley Scott's Alien, followed by James Cameron's Aliens. These movies defined science fiction for so many people, and it's humbling that my studio and I get to create a sequel to these films in video game form.
Aliens Colonial Marines is
immersive.
It's fast,
scary,
frightening,
badass,
dark.
How many fingers am I holding up? He's fine.
We tried to take that idea of a really interesting cast of characters and reinvent it a little bit with Colonial Marines.
We're spending a lot of time on the authenticity, the feel of all the weapons, the presentation of the story. We're doing some kind of interesting things with the way that we're presenting objectives and how you make your way through the world.
You know, we've put a lot of effort into being extremely authentic to the film. We're trying to be very much within canon, and we know that a lot of the hardcore fans take this very seriously.
In the past, we've gotten some feedback on screenshots or on some of the news release, and we take that stuff very, very seriously. We've made changes to the game to make sure that this is what the fans really, really want, and it actually hits the expectations that everyone has.
Well, for one, I think one of the similarities that you would find between Cameron's Aliens and where we are with the game is really in sort of look and feel, tone of the game. It has what you would think as if Cameron was directing himself, and at least that's our hope, is that you feel like the cinematography feels correct, you feel like the look and feel of the weapons, the way the aliens move, is something that maybe he would have done if he was directing a game like this. So
we want to present something that's as compelling and detailed and beautiful and exciting as the films, but in an interactive experience.
So I feel really fortunate to have had the chance to have met with Ridley Scott. We were talking about possibly doing a Blade Runner game, which a lot of people have heard about and would love to see, and we'd love to see at some point. But in that conversation that we had with him, he also knew that we were interested in making an Aliens game. So he brought out his sort of storyboards for the movie Alien, and he went through, basically one by one, and has kind of been able to explain to us some of the backstory and some of those kind of things that we've been able to incorporate in the game. And it was just an invaluable experience to be able to meet him and kind of get a perspective on what it is to have, what he originally meant to do with some of the aliens and that kind of thing. So that was really exciting.
The environments in the game are obviously based on the ones from the movie. It takes place after the events of Aliens, the movie. So you're going to see 17 weeks of change. You're going to see what happened when the atmospheric processor exploded. You're going to see what the surviving aliens have done to the planet. You're going to see what Weyland-Yutani has done to the planet. You're going to see what Weyland-Yutani has done to the derelict. You're definitely going to see what happened in the 17 weeks since the events in Aliens, the film.
If you enjoyed the films, you'll get double satisfaction from it because of all the connections that stays true to the canon.
It's got a very strong story, it's got great action, it's got an interesting enemy, it's got interesting environments, it'll make you shit your pants from time to time.
The Aliens universe is just cool. You're Aliens Marines and you've got this badass arsenal, awesome armor and gear, and you get to go kick ass.
We're Aliens fans, and we've taken the risk to tell the story of what happens next. These aliens are gnarly. Like, Colonial Marines are badasses. They can handle anything, right? Except for this.
A xenomorph is,
in some cases, sort of a humanoid character.
You've got this big, nasty mouth with all these teeth.
You've got the mouth open and the little mouth coming at you.
And they open it up like they're gonna bite your face off. And then another mouth comes out.
Xenomorphs are perhaps the most dangerous thing that anyone has ever encountered in space.
There's no negotiating with this thing. It's going to kill you.
Alien had a guy in a suit, basically. He pretty much takes out an entire crew of people. And then you see in Aliens, we have pretty much a nest of aliens, pretty much running rampant across a colony and taking all the people and causing all kinds of havoc. As a Colonial Marine, you can blow these guys away because you have pretty much the best artillery in the entire universe. These aliens, they will take you out and they will not be remorseful about it.
The things that make xenomorphs believable in the world, and something that we're working on for all of the characters, is they have to have purpose. They have to have purpose, and they have to feel like they are in command of their capacities. You know, they understand how to move through the environment as a creature that you believe in. They're trying to do things in the world, mostly try to kill you.
Hives of aliens could conceivably have different types of aliens working together. And maybe in the films we didn't see all the types. Maybe in the video game we could see more of these types. So this inspired us to dream up more of how an alien hive would function and what other kind of Xenos would be part of that function. My favorite weapon in Aliens Colonial Marines is...
Definitely it's the pulse rifle.
The pulse rifle.
It really is the pulse rifle.
It's rapid fire,
It's caseless,
easy to reload,
because you can blow shit away with that thing.
it's got that grenade launcher there,
I love the smart gun.
that smart gun, that big thing. What's been fun about that is in video game form, now you can see what it's like to actually use it. And we've created the user interface, and there's a little eyepiece that comes down. What's on that eyepiece? We never saw that in the films.
We have every weapon from the film in the game, and we also have some new ones. You have a lot more Marines in this game this time around. You have a lot more equipment. We definitely have a much larger arsenal.
In Cameron's movie, we didn't see a lot of scopes and things like that. But this is a place where we can fill in those gaps, things that people are really familiar with.
So when we sat down to design the characters in Aliens Colonial Marines, we wanted to make new and interesting characters and not just rip off the old ones. We wanted to go as diverse as possible and create a group of people that make it feel like a badass Aliens experience.
It's one thing to watch the movies, and we love those characters, and that's great, but it's a passive experience.
It's different. We're approaching the first-person shooter differently. We're even approaching how we have a main character talk with in first person in a totally new way that I don't think anyone's done before.
Anyone who's played shooter games, if you played any of the military shooters, if you played any of the science fiction shooters, or if you love the Aliens franchise, you're not going to want to miss this one. Aliens is one of the greatest science fiction franchises of all time. It inspired a generation. Aliens Colonial Marines is the first time we've been able to go back as a sequel to James Cameron's great Aliens film and become a Colonial Marine. It's a first-person action game, so you get to become the character in the movie. If you remember in the film Aliens, there was this moment when Ripley asks Hicks, "How long before we're declared overdue until we can expect a rescue?" And Hicks says, 17 days, right? And Hudson's like, 17 days? Man, we're not gonna last 17 hours. And you're part of that what would happen next. You're part of that rescue effort. As a self-respecting video gamer, I have unfathomable love for Nintendo and the games that Nintendo's offered us over the years. So it was really exciting for us to be briefed on the Wii U. What's most exciting about the Wii U is the screen. This is the motion tracker, and it can come up and scan the environment, and I can literally move it around to detect left and detect right. And this is really cool when you're first playing the game because you're kind of focused, you're immersed in your virtual reality world, and suddenly you hear, and it's coming from down there, and you look down and you can see a blip. And this is just scratching the surface. With the nature of the universe in this game, it's a perfect fit. There's a lot of tension, a lot of horror, a lot of drama, a lot of action. It's a thrill, and I just can't, I'm humbled that I get to be a part of it.
Essentially, tension comes from unanswered questions. Tension comes from anticipation.
When you're kind of dealing with suspense and horror, you really have to get to know characters and really have time with them to really understand and feel the loss of when they are taken by the aliens. And that really lets us have a lot of different experiences and understanding of how scary these aliens are. And so this gives us a chance to really kind of get you involved and also be able to kind of pull the rug out from under you whenever there's a loss of a particular character or whatever it is.
When you can survive an encounter, beat them, man, that's when you feel like a badass.
We're going to have a lot of different places than you've seen maybe in the movies. So we're going to be able to see places that you are familiar with, like Hadley's Hope. It's after the atmospheric processor has blown up, so it's been very torn up.
Yeah, Winter, you are a badass, man!
And it kind of had an explosion that explodes up, not out. but nonetheless, it still had an impact on what happened to some of those areas that you were familiar with. So you now get to come back in there and see them in a destroyed or distressed state that you didn't see before. You'll be able to explore areas that you hadn't seen in the movie. For example, being on the Sulaco, we'll have a lot more time to spend with the Colonial Marines there, as well as getting closer to areas that we've all wanted to see, like the jockey ship that we'll be able to explore more in and around. You want to have the lighting, the feel, the surfaces, the characters, the equipment, just everything that you would have seen in the movie. You want to have that be as accurate as possible.
You know, Sid Mead did the original designs for the Sulaco, and he's helped us realize how the rest of that ship looks.
Great. Now my friggin' tracker's broken. Just watch the red dots. That's what I'm telling you.
Motion tracking, you know, that ping, and then when you hear the blip, when the aliens are actually in the vicinity. It's such an iconic sound, and when we got the source material for 20th Century Fox, the actual audio that was recorded and Foleyed and some of the other stuff that was digitally produced, man, it's so exciting to be able to play with that content and then work that content into the game.
I think that Aliens fans, people who really love this franchise, are going to be really happy with the way in which we brought this forward.
It's got a very strong story, it's got great action, it's got an interesting enemy.
Fans should be expecting to be scared. They should be expecting to be excited. They should expect a lot of action, just like the films. They should expect an experience that is an interactive version of all the Aliens films that they've loved so much and finally realized in full 3D.
You know, I've made a lot of video games, I've made a lot of action games, I've made a lot of games that involve shooting and games that involve soldiers, and I mean, and games that, you know, where we're saving the world from aliens too, frankly, and I gotta be honest, I've been stealing from aliens my entire career. You know, there's always lines from the movie or situations or events where we just borrow, and it's influenced all of us. It's influenced an entire generation. When we get to spend time in the real fiction, in the real canon, it's pretty exciting because we're not borrowing from it, we're building onto it and we're adding to it. So it's just a thrill to be involved.